YouTube, Computer Kid 1416 here, and this year marks 10 years since the release of my very first cell phone, the Palm Pre, which you're looking at right now. So what I thought I'd do in this video is just give it a little 10-year retrospective, go into the history of it, give my personal history with it, as well as show off a little bit about the phone itself. So if you don't care about the storytelling part and you just want to see about the phone, feel free to skip there a little bit, but for the rest of you, I'm going to go ahead and go into the history of it a little bit. So the Palm Pre was released on June 6, 2009 on Sprint. It was originally a Sprint exclusive. Later revisions of the phone would expand to Verizon and AT&T, but initially it was a Sprint exclusive phone. And Sprint really heavily advertised it back in the day. They didn't carry the iPhone at the time until I believe 2011. So yeah, they kind of they advertised this as being, they really advertised it as being kind of an iPhone killer. And that was really what Palm was going for in the first place when they released the phone. Prior to this, they had released several other phones, the Palm Centro, the Palm Trio, but both of those phones were very business-oriented. They ran on Windows Mobile, which was an extremely business-oriented operating system. So with the Palm Pre, they wanted to go the more consumer route, and like I said, compete with the iPhone. So anyway, let me get into some of the specs of the phone. It's got a 600 MHz Texas Instruments processor, 256 megs of RAM, 8 gigs of internal storage, a 320 by 480 pixel display at 3.1 inches, a 3.2 megapixel rear camera, and yeah, that's about it. So in terms of my personal history with it, so back in 2010, I was in the 8th grade. I was 14 years old, and back then, whereas nowadays it seems like kids are getting phones younger and younger, back then, in the early 2010s, I'd say the average age for kids to get their first cell phone was probably between 12 and 14, somewhere in that range. I know my friends started to get it around 13 or so. So I was 14, and I wasn't the only one without a phone, but I was certainly probably in the minority of everybody was just starting to get phones. So of course I really, really wanted one. And my parents agreed. They said, you need your own phone, you're getting older. But they didn't want to just give it to me. They wanted to kind of make me work for it a little bit. So they told me that if I got good grades that semester, they would bring me to the Sprint store, which was our provider at the time, and get me my first cell phone. So I worked really, really hard that semester. I made decent grades anyway, but I especially worked hard that semester because I did not want to miss out on it. So I got good grades as expected, and my parents took me to the Sprint store to get my first cell phone. And I was expecting, just to get maybe a cheap flip phone or something. But no, they told me I could get a smartphone. I could get whatever phone I wanted. So, of course, like I said, Sprint did not have the iPhone, nor did I want the iPhone. I had an iPod Touch before this, like most kids in that day did. And I liked it okay, but I was never really a big fan. It was just never for me, and to this day I'm not an iPhone person at all. I just think well anyway, that's a whole different story of why I don't like iPhone. But anyway, so back to the phone story. So they did not have the iPhone, and they had Android phones at the time. I've made a video of my mom's 2009 Samsung Moment. But they were kind of sluggish. They were, at least on Sprint, they were kind of sluggish. They just weren't the best. At the time, I'd say Sprint's first good Android phone was probably the HTC Evo. Was probably their first good Android phone. So at the time, I didn't really have any option with that. So naturally, I went towards the Palm Pre. I was a big Palm fan. I made a video a while back of my Palm 7X PDA. That didn't do much for me as a kid, but I really liked it. I liked messing around with it. It was a cool little gadget. So I'd kind of been familiar with Palm, so that's what made me kind of veer towards Palm Pre. So I decided to go with that. And yeah, I thought it was a really great phone. I think, of course, being your first cell phone, you're always a little bit more nostalgic for it than you would be otherwise. But even that aside, I did like the phone. I thought it had a very good user interface. I thought it was a good size, at least at the time. You know, nowadays it feels a little small, but back then, you know, I thought it had a good size. And a couple. It wasn't perfect though. I did have a couple problems with it. I actually, about a year into it, it went out on me. It just completely died. And so I had to bring it to the Sprint store, and they told me there was nothing they could do about it, and they had to replace it. It was apparently a defect. So I got a new phone. I was glad about that. And then the same thing happened, actually. About 6 months later, it went out on me, same problem, and I had to go replace it. So, I was actually to the point to where they told me, you know, if this happens again, we'll give you your upgrade early. I was about 6 months away from getting a new phone. So, but, you know, despite that issue that I had, I still really enjoyed the phone. I think it, you know, of course, being my first phone, it's always going to have a little bit of a charm. But, I mean, even that aside, I thought it was I thought it was a very, very neat little phone. Now, it never kicked off, of course. It never got anywhere near the iPhone or Android. So, Palm did make a couple more phones. They made the Palm Pre Plus, the Palm 2, and the Pre 2 and the Pre 3. But neither of which really kicked off. You know, iPhone and Android had really taken the marketplace by that point. So unfortunately, it kind of went off into obscurity, and Palm was later bought out by HP, so who tried to revive it as well. But again, it never really caught on at that point. You know, it was a little too late for the Pre. But you know, despite it not being a success, it still has a charm. I think it's a neat little phone to look back on. And yeah, so anyway, that's it for the history of the phone. Now let me get into the showing out the phone itself. Alright guys, so now let's get into the phone itself, starting with the original box. Yes, this is my original from 2009. I've kept it all these years. Nowadays I usually sell my phones in fact I always sell my phones to help pay for new ones. But of course, being my first cell phone, I wanted to keep it for posterity's sake, so that's why I still have this to this day. A little slip cover there. If it would focus. I think I need to mess with the face tracking or something to try to get the focus better. But anyway, yeah, so let's see what we got inside. Got a little, not trying to be like Apple or anything. Actually, it turns out that someone who designed the iPhone worked on Palm Pre, so I guess it's not completely copying, and I guess it does have some inspiration. Here's the phone itself, which we'll get to. The original phone charger I don't have for it anymore. I used it for years and years on other phones, but I think I finally got rid of it a couple years back. But anyway, I do have the original headphones that came with it. Unfortunately, bundled phone headphones haven't really increased much in quality since this. I'd always recommend getting your own headphones. This is a program Sprint was running at the time. They may still be doing it, I'm not sure, where basically you could put your old phone in here and they would supposedly recycle it. I don't know if they would recycle it or if they would like donate it, or maybe a little bit of both. I'm not really sure how that worked, but anyway. Alright, so here's the getting started guide. I'm not going to show off this 100%, but I'll just kind of flip through this quickly so you guys can get a feel for what it was like. Of course, pause if you want to see anything else in detail. And I think it folds out too. Yeah, there you go. Again, you can probably find this online somewhere, but I just thought I'd show this off real quick. Let's talk about Webos, the gestures, all interesting features for their time. I'll of course get to that though. Features guide, which looks like it's more advertised towards Sprint in particular. Palm Pre did have its own app store similar to iPhone and Android, so that was cool. But not nearly as many apps though. It never had nearly as many apps as the latter. NASCAR. Oh my gosh, I hated that back in the day, and I still would today if they still did that. I don't think they do, thank goodness. That was bloatware if I've ever seen it. But anyway, and here's the, looks like, Spanish version. Just a little thing advertising you can get service with your phone. And looks like the French version. I kind of got those out of order there. So our user's guide, I'm not going to bother taking it out of the slip cover here, but you guys get the idea. So anyway, yeah, that's about it for that. Now let's take a look at the phone itself. Alright, so let's take a look at the phone itself, which you can see is pretty tiny, even by 2009 standards. The iPhone at the time was 4 inches, and this is a 3-inch phone, so yeah, pretty tiny. Let me compare it here to my modern Pixel 3a XL, which is 6 inches, pretty standard for today. And yeah, you can see how quite a bit smaller it is. A lot thicker, because it's got the pull-out keyboard. Actually, let me undo the keyboard here and see how thick the actual phone is. The actual phone's not that thick, actually. The phone itself. But anyway, yeah. So you can see mine's in fairly good condition for its age. It's got a little bitty, little scratch, not scratch, but like a little peeling there. I don't know how to explain that, but anyway. Yep. And this is not a trackball, by the way. It looks like one, but it's actually just a button. What's kind of interesting about this, and I'll show this more when I get in the operating system, but it's got a gesture feature, which is kind of ahead of its time. You can see if you're in the operating system. And again, I'll show more of this later, but basically you can do like that, and it does a little gesture. But anyway, I'll get into that when I get into the software. But yeah, like I mentioned, this slide. So it's the keyboard. The keyboard's pretty tiny. Even for my 14-year-old hands, it was pretty tiny. However, you do get used to it. Don't know why it's not focusing. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's pretty tiny even for the time. But it's definitely manageable. At least it was back then. I got used to it. Even to this day, I'm not a fast phone typer. I'm just never have gotten quite used to it. But, you know, it was alright. It was alright. Definitely preferred over a on-screen keyboard, in my opinion. This edge here, I remember back in the day, everybody was talking about how sharp this was. It's not like sharp like a knife. It's more like paper cut sharp, if that makes sense. Anyway, let's close that up. And I forgot to mention, there's also a mirror on the back, which I guess, since there wasn't front-facing camera yet on phones back then, I guess that's what that was meant to be. But it's kind of interesting. It distorts your... Just trying to think if I can find myself in here. Yeah, it kind of distorts your view. So I don't know what the point of that was. But anyway, we got the 3.1 megapixel camera, which was better than the iPhone had the 2 megapixel camera. I will put a couple test shots here so you can see what it's like. There you go, you got to see a few sample shots there, and I also took video, which I can't remember the resolution off the top of my head. I'll have to put that in the video there, but anyway, I'll show you a sample shot of that as well. Alright, taking some test footage with the Palm Pre. I still can't find out what the video resolution is just by looking it up online. I'll have to wait till I put this video on my computer and I'll find out from there. So, anyway. Alright, there we go. So, moving on, we got a volume rocker on the side here. Just your basic volume rocker. It also had a physical silent switch somewhere. Oh, it's on the other side here. Yeah, it had a physical silent switch, which was kind of nice. Nowadays, it's pretty easy just to toggle it in your operating system, but back then it was really convenient to be able to flip it and automatically silence your phone. Sorry, I don't know, focus issues, but anyway, there we go. And then as you saw me do a second ago, there's a power button as well there. A speakerphone, obviously. There's also a speaker on the back. And if you took this back cover off, let me do that real quick. There we go, it does pop off. And I apologize again about the focus. It's trying to focus on my bed, which is probably why it's kind of freaking out. There we go, so that's the way it looks when it's off. Kind of a cool little yellow color there. Yeah, this is the battery, which I'm not going to take out because it'll kill the phone, but There is no SD card or anything. It's just the 8 gigs internal only. But yeah, not much you can really do in there. And then take the battery out, of course. Alright, so I guess that's it for the hardware. Now let me show you guys a little bit about the software. Now again, this isn't going to be like a super in-depth tour of the software. I'm sure people have done that already, but for me, I just want to kind of give it a little retrospective to show you kind of what it could do on a daily basis. So I did keep this original from when the day I retired this phone, I did keep it original. I didn't wipe it or anything. However, I did remove a couple things like email, text, etc. I don't know why I did bother to do that, but anyway, so I can safely show you like text messages. There isn't anything in there. The one thing I can't show you is contacts because I did keep those in there, but you can see phone log. You can already see what they were kind of going for with the interface. You know, kind of a 3D-ish, which was kind of common at the time. You know, like Windows 7 had that, Mac OS, etc. had that kind of 3D bubble look, which I kind of like actually. I mean, I like material design, but I don't know, something about this 3D look kind of appeals to me as well. But anyway, yeah, it's a pretty nice looking OS. And let me show off the gesture feature real quick. So, like if you're in an app, like if say you're in Messages, you can hit the home button, and they will go up into like a little card. And if you had other cards open, like let's open email, you can flip through them, which is kind of like modern day iOS and Android actually. So it's things that kind of come around. Yep, very similar. And then you got the gestures here where you can do like that to just access apps easily. And then like if you're in an app, like if you're in Messages, you can swipe left and it's almost like a back key, like you'd see on Android today. There you go. That's back. So yeah, that's about all I can show for WebOS. A very interesting OS, and it's a shame it never really caught on. WebOS is technically still around, but it's used in TVs now, I believe. I think it got licensed to another company when HP abandoned Palm. But anyway, yeah, so it was kind of an interesting OS, and like I said, it's a shame that it never really caught on. Alright, so let me show you what apps I have on here. There's Web, which obviously came with it. Not really much to show here. I do have this connected to my current Wi-Fi network, so I guess I could go to a website, not that it's necessary, but yeah, there you go. It's a web browser. 10 out of 10, most exciting ever. Alright, camera, which I'm not going to go into at the moment. I don't think I have any pictures of mine on here. I think I backed them up already from back in the day, but just in case, I'm not going to look in there right now. But I did show you those sample shots earlier. Music, I don't think I ever put much music on here. I know I still had an iPod back then, and most people did, so using a phone as an MP3 player didn't really catch on until years later. So I think I did put a couple songs on here though, because I wanted to make them ringtones. I actually found an app, can't remember what it's called. It's not on this phone right now, but I think maybe my first or second one that I had it. But anyway, it was an app that lets you turn your music into ringtones. So I had that. Let's see if I did put any music on here. Like I said, about 6 months before I retired this phone, I ended up having to get another one. So not everything I used to have on here is on here, but I did put most of my frequent apps back on here. Anyway, I do have some songs on here. Okay, looks like classic rock, which I liked back in 2010 and I like today. So that's kind of haven't really changed much in that sense. Let's move on. We've got Folly. I remember spending a lot of time on this game back in the day. If you would only focus, that would be nice. Come on now. There we go. I got it. Anyway, still not totally in focus. There we go. Just gonna start with the first level. Yeah, just your basic fall game, I guess. This kind of thing, as you guys know, what was popular back then. You know, just a very basic, you know, kill time kind of game. And especially being in middle school, that was kind of appealing to have something like that, you know, just to kill time in between classes. Alright, so moving on. We've got Sorry, I was having to look off the camera. Tetromios? I'm not saying that right, but anyway, it's basically Tetris, as you can tell. I don't know if they ever released a full Tetris, like a real official Tetris game for this phone or not. I know they released... Let me turn the sound off just so it doesn't distract me. Kind of upbeat music there for this game. For whatever reason, didn't use touch control. You use these little buttons here. But it was your basic Tetris. What I was saying was, I don't know if they ever released an official Tetris game for this phone or not. I know EA did release a couple games. Like I know there was Connect 4 and then Boggle, I believe. But I'm not sure if they ever released Tetris or not. Like I said, this phone didn't have the best third-party support in the world, but it had, you know, some certain apps. Like you can see, it had Angry Birds. Oh, come on, camera, will you focus? There we go. And you can see, I actually have an SNES emulator on here. That's right, even back then I was playing around with emulators and stuff. And it actually works decently. I'll show that off real quick. I mean, it's the SNES. It's not like you need a powerful phone to make it work anyway. But I mean, I remember being surprised by how well it actually worked. And I can't remember what button I have set to what. Oh, okay, that apparently did something. Oh, there we go. Okay, I hit A apparently. Okay, you guys get the idea. That's I'm going to be able to play this well because, oh, that's right apparently. Google Maps. I couldn't drive back then, so I don't think I ever used this to navigate. Clock, polar bowling, which, sorry, I had to stretch my legs there. Let's see what this is like. I vaguely remember it. Oh, that's right. It's like, basically, it's like, I don't know a word for it, but like flick golf, I guess you could say. Like, you just got to kind of get it in the hole one shot, but you have wind against you, as you can see. See, very low budget game, but it's kind of addicting. Like I said, that was the trend back then. Quick but addicting games. Oh, go away. Alright. I actually made that smaller somehow. I don't know how I did that. Weather channel for weather, obviously. Labyrinth Light, which I showed this off in the Samsung Moment review. This app is almost identical, if not the same. It's actually at a level editor, which is kind of cool. I never used that, though. Yeah, just your basic Labyrinth app. And I can't really do it at this angle, but it has to be flat for it to work. Very hard game to play if you're in motion. If you're just sitting there playing it, it's not too bad. Topple Ball Mini. What is this about? So I know I'm showing off kind of some of the games I used to play. I know this is supposed to be about the phone itself, but I just thought some of you guys might find this interesting. Alright, let's see. I'm about done though, and I'll show some more about the phone itself. Okay, so very similar Labyrinth, except looks like actually pretty much identical Labyrinth. Anyway, enough of that. Okay, enough for games, although I will show this last one real quick. I think you can use the spacebar for this one. It's a your basic copter game, I guess. Oh, you do have to use the touchscreen, okay. Anyway, I got off on a tangent there showing off games, but now I'll show off more of the phone itself. So that's it for that screen, I guess. We've got some Sprint stuff, YouTube, App Store, which I don't think works anymore, I'm almost positive. Nope, it's just blank. Okay, you got an idea of kind of what it looked like. YouTube, Amazon MP3, Sprint TV, which was kind of like Netflix. Before Netflix, it was a Sprint service that lets you stream videos, and it actually worked decently for the time. Sprint Navigation, NASCAR, I mentioned I always drove the heck out of me that was on there. Same with Sprint Football. Calculator, Doc View. I don't remember if I downloaded that or not, or if that's included. I think that's included. It's basically a way to view Word documents, Excel documents, that kind of thing. So now we get into some of the settings. So we got sounds and ringtone. Let me show you some of the ringtones that were on here. It's kind of a tradition on this channel. my dog's barking in the background, if you can hear that. I think the blue means that I downloaded those ringtones. Actually, no, I think what it means is it's like a song as opposed to just a little quick, see, these say short. That's the one I used. That was the default one. I actually had this set up to, again, going back to classic rock. My ringtone for a while on this was actually Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting by Elton John. That's actually a really good upbeat ringtone song. Just bring back memories. Oh, it's actually on here. I'm not going to show it for copyright reasons, but yeah, that song's actually still, that ringtone's still on there. So, anyway, yeah, if you like that song, I highly recommend that trying that out as a ringtone. It's actually a good upbeat song to use as a ringtone. But anyway, come back to that. We got screen and lock. You can have a lock screen. I did not back in the day. Well, I probably should have, because bring my phone to school and stuff. You know, it's a good idea to have a lock just because, in case someone steals your phone or whatever. So brightness, wallpaper, all very exciting stuff. I don't remember what I used as my wallpaper back in the day. Obviously it's using the default right now, but I don't remember what I used for that. Okay, it does support Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, as you can tell. I don't think I ever used those back in... I mean, I used Wi-Fi. I meant Bluetooth. I don't think I ever used back in the day. Device info, I'm not going to show because it shows my phone number. Even though it's not activated, it still shows my phone number on there. Date and time, updates, backup, and regional settings. Alright, so let me take this off camera real quick and see if there's anything else I can show off. Again, this is just kind of like a retrospective more than anything. If you want a more in-depth video, I'm sure people have done that already. I just wanted to kind of show a little of everything here. That's about it, I guess. So anyway, like I said, cute little phone. I think, even putting aside the fact that it was my first phone, I do really think it was good for its time. Now, was it an iPhone or Android killer? No, but not by the fault of the phone itself. I'd say the fact that it was only on Sprint, as well as the fact that, competition was just too heavy between the two. I think though that's what hurt it. I think if the iPhone or Android hadn't really gotten popular, I think the Palm Pre would have had more of a chance, because I think based on just the hardware. Now there were a couple quirks here and there. Like I mentioned, my phone died twice on me, but those were fixed with the Palm Pre Plus and the Palm Pre 2 that came out. So those fixed those minor issues. So yeah, in terms of the actual phone itself, it was actually a really good little phone. But anyway, I'm running out of time here on the camera, but I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this little 10-year retrospective, and I will see you guys in the next video. Follow me on social media at ComputerKid1416, and yeah, please subscribe if you want to see future videos. So, talk to you guys later. Bye.